Welcome back. A complete overhaul coming to the Federal Housing and Finance Agency. Newly confirmed FHFA Director Bill Pulte making prominent changes to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, including ending special purpose credit programs, canceling $6.4 million in DEI spending, and creating a mortgage fraud pipeline. Joining me now is U.S. Federal Housing FHFA Director Bill Pulte. Bill, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So I want to get your take on where this is going. What would you like to see on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac in the coming, let's call it 3 years?
Well, we finally have an administration that cares about these two companies. As you know, the president spent his life in mortgages and real estate, and he hired a businessman to do this job. And we are laser focused on getting these companies to be bigger and stronger than ever before. Maria, as you know, we have $4.4 trillion in assets at Fannie Mae, $3.4 trillion at Freddie Mac. That's bigger than Microsoft, bigger than Saudi Aramco. These are huge companies, and other presidents have, in my opinion, totally neglected these massive, massive companies which the U.S. taxpayers benefit from. So we are focused on making positive changes, and the employees love it.
Do those positive changes include getting them out of the grasp of government?
Well, we'll see. You know, there's many options that the president could do, and the president ultimately will be the one who will make this decision. So I would defer to him on that. I can tell you that what we're doing is running these businesses as businesses. Imagine that. We are elevating great talent. We're bringing people up through the pipeline. And, you know, I'm just very grateful to have a president who actually cares about these two businesses.
Well, look,
I mean, Maria, it's almost criminal that other presidents didn't care about these two assets. The only time they cared about them was when they blew up. And now we're taking proactive steps to make sure they're safer and stronger, and that we have all options on the table.
Yeah, particularly because so many people rely on their mortgages as a result because of Fannie and Freddie. But I want to get your take on this downgrade. Moody's downgrading the U.S. credit rating, and that sent mortgage rates higher. On Tuesday, both the 30-year fixed rate and the 5-year adjusted rate hit above 7%. We are pulling back from that right now this week. The 30-year at 6.8%, the 15-year at 5.92%. What's the impact of the Moody's downgrade, and what are your expectations for long-term mortgage rates?
Well, as Secretary Besson said and Kevin Hassett reiterated, this was a backward-looking statement. I do want to say, though, that they gave actually an upgrade for an outlook for Fannie and Freddie, which obviously an outlook is in the future. And so we were very happy with that. And I would say that the MBS market is very strong. It's very resilient. And from investors that I talked to, I just spoke at the Mortgage Bankers Association the other day in New York. People are excited about this administration. They're excited about the changes we're making. They're excited about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And the energy in these buildings, Maria, no director had basically ever been in these buildings. They're electric. People are happy to come to work finally at these companies.
And do you think that this is going to alleviate the issues for getting a mortgage? And do you think that the costs will come down anytime soon?
Well, I think the president's very focused, as you know, on lowering inflation. He's been very successful. He's gotten oil down. He's gotten eggs down. He's gotten groceries down. One thing that nobody gives him credit for is he's also gotten housing to not be growing in terms of inflation so much. I mean, people are going to slowly be able to afford a home. But we got a lot of work ahead of us, Maria. The last 4 years were devastating with Biden's inflation.
Yeah. Well, look, I want to switch gears and ask you about your recommendation. You recommended that the DOJ investigate New York Attorney General Letitia James over alleged mortgage fraud. The AG, Letitia James, has responded. We don't have the video, but here's the quote. "This investigation into me is nothing more than retribution. It's baseless. It has to do with the fact that on a power of attorney, I mistakenly indicated that I was a state of Virginia resident. And prior to that, I indicated to the mortgage broker that, in fact, in bold cap letters, that I am not a resident of Virginia and never will be. They just took the power of attorney, and they're using that as a basis for enforcement of their investigation." Bill, do you know why she said she was a resident of Virginia on the power of attorney, if in fact she wasn't?
Well, I know that we are mortgage experts, and we only refer things that we think are mortgage fraud, and we stand 100% behind the letter. I'll let the letter speak for itself. I do know, and I have seen some reports from that subject's criminal defense lawyer saying certain things. I'll leave it to the DOJ to correct various things. But again, when we see mortgage fraud, we are going to report it. When we see mortgage fraud, we are going to prosecute it within the confines of our duties. And we are not going to be intimidated by a subject's criminal defense lawyer. We are not going to be intimidated by a politician or just because you have an Esquire behind your name. We are not going to be intimidated by people. If we see mortgage fraud, we're going to do something about it. And I think that you're going to see us be taking this on in a big way. Mortgage fraud is a big problem. These companies are safe and sound, but where we see it, we are going to do something about it. And that subject's case is no different.
Well, what are the ramifications of this now that you've referred this for criminality to the DOJ?
Well, I would refer that to the DOJ. Again, as I say, we spend our days, we are mortgage experts. We are not politicians. I view this as an economic job. Obviously, the president can fire me at any time, so I guess in that way. But look, I look at this as an independent agency. We found the mortgage fraud, whether it be that particular subject or other subjects, and we work actively with the DOJ and different law enforcement agencies, and we will continue to do so. We are not going to be intimidated by somebody. Nobody is above the law, and that includes famous people or lawyers or what have you.
And what is your response to her saying, look, this was a mistake. I mistakenly wrote that I was a resident of Virginia.
Well, again, I don't want to respond to the specific comments that she would make or that the subject's criminal defense lawyer would make. I would just say generally that we will leave a lot of that up to the DOJ. I will say, though, however, just as a general matter, that occupancy fraud is a real issue. People saying that they're going to live in one state and going to it and really not even living there and getting better interest rates, getting better down payment terms, as well as people saying that people are part of their families that they're not. I mean, I'm making these general comments because we see patterns of this. We see patterns and practice of fraud across the United States. And this stuff has to stop, Maria.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, the banks and the lenders, they're responding to this. They're now looking at their underwriting, and that's exactly the intended effect that we want any subject who we refer to for DOJ.
All right, we'll leave it there. Bill, great to have you this morning. Thanks so much. We'll be watching the developments.
Thank you.
Bill Pulte. Quick break, and then how some of the administration are already thinking about the 2028